Welcome, everyone, and happy DEBcember! Woohoo! Thank you all for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the DEB Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting and Your Goal Guide, and a bunch of other hyphenates. And this tradition started in 2020. When we could not get rid of the year fast enough. And Keith Spiro, one of my guests, was here for the very first start, and it was Start 2021 now because we had to get rid of 2020. So, which has become an annual tradition. And I think this is the third year Annie, Keith, and Chris have joined me. And there's something about these New Year's shows that is kind of fun. We're checking in with you, but we're also checking in with each other. So I am so excited. Whether you're watching this as GoalChat Live, the replay, or listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network, we are so glad you're here celebrating DEBcember. And okay, so here's the cheat. This might be the start of the new year for you. It might be rounding out the year for you. It might be both, which is, I think, the case for most people. So I am so excited to celebrate the holiday with, yes, it's a holiday. DEBcember. Chris Cherian, Annie P. Ruggles, and Keith Spiro. My friends, it's wonderful to have you here. And I'm not even going to introduce you guys. I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves. So let us start alphabetically. Chris, I think I literally have not seen you in a year.
That's sad. We can fix that. Yeah, I mean, it was a funny surprise when I logged on. I was like, I don't think they've seen me since I had the crew cut. Which I think the picture that you have of me is probably it's still my LinkedIn photo and like stuff like that. So maybe I need an update. But hi everyone. I'm Chris. This is my I think probably fourth time now on the Deb show total. 3 of which being DEBcember, if I recall correctly. Maybe there's a 5 in there. Maybe I'll have to go back and look.
But we will count later.
Yes.
But when we met, you were doing something like completely different, which is kind of awesome too.
I know. I've had some fun changes. So I used to be working on a startup, which we sold last year. That was a video chat startup. I still have issues with joining video chat today. So running a video chat company doesn't excuse you from that, I suppose. But worked on that during the pandemic, had some great friends, great founders that I was working with. Sold that business last year. I joined the Museum of Modern Art to work on their math. It's been a lovely change of pace from being heads down 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now a little bit closer to a 9 to 5, and I get to work on projects about art. So it's been a lovely change of pace.
Wait, did you just say math? You said math. As an M-A-T-H,
yeah, I do math. Math.
Okay, so reconcile math and MoMA.
So, I have a feeling that last year we ended up talking something about math and art, but I do a lot of their forecasting work, like how many people are coming next year, how many members are we going to get, right? Hey, we saw sales in the lobby were fantastic for this show. Was that just like a lucky day, or was it the show, or was it, the staff on hand? Those, I get questions from, the lobby all the way to the website to, hey, was the meal served at this dinner the right one? So I get to work on some fun stuff, and math, underpins all of it.
I love this whole connection, math and food. And I host Taste Buds with Deb. I never really connected math with food. So thank you for correcting me. Thrilled to see you. And yes, once a year is probably not often enough. Yeah. So we will see what we can do about that next year. Annie.
Hey, Deblet.
Hey, Annie Lit or whatever. Anniepreneur.
There you go.
How are you?
I'm okay. Are you? I'm still standing. I am the aforementioned Anniepreneur. Like Deb's introduction, I have many hyphenates. I think you said, Deb, of I'm this and this and this and this and this. But I told Deb in the green room, I'm going to go with this introduction from where most of the leads are coming from right now, which is I am Annie P. Ruggles, founder of the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy. Because it's been a wild roller coaster of a year, and my business has weathered it all and come out looking kind of like a funhouse mirror version of itself. And we're back. And Chris has the best hair ever. So if that doesn't bode well for 2026, what does?
Okay, then. Yeah, and if you're just listening, Chris is doing a I love my hair happy dance, which is hilarious. Keith, welcome. You I've seen.
It is wonderful to be back.
Who are
DEBcember
you?
is always a fun time, and I continue to align myself. So it's been a wild year. I think, as Annie just said, as Chris alluded to, lots of change around us, the speed of which we can't control terribly well. But I look forward to this call every time we do it. Annie sent me off last time with AI to reconstruct who I am. You've got the logo sitting out there in the corner of my screen. And we've transitioned the website, the business, just keeping up with what it takes. And the core of it hasn't changed. I'm still a business strategist, and I work with businesses mostly focused on community building and health. So whether it's a good community or health related, it's a great place to be. And I love listening to Chris talk about math and art. And we always end up talking about art and food because that's part of what makes our island so special. You know, everybody gets voted in here because we add something to it.
Now, I hate to mention this for fear of messing up your sound, but you are fading in and out.
That's a scary thing.
Okay, I don't know if we can do anything about it, but I wanted to let you know.
How about now?
Now it is perfect.
Okay.
Okay, then. Excellent. Now that we got that out of the way. Okay, so and the other thing I should mention about Keith, so Keith not only does my Start 2020 whatever now party, he is now also part of my New Year's conversation, because what had happened is I had someone drop the last minute last year, and I'm like, Keith, you celebrate the non-traditional New Year's. Want to come on the New Year's show as well. So Keith, we have been doing those catch-ups, and you can check out that show. I think we're doing it on January 5th. That sounds right, doesn't it? Whatever that first Monday is, we are celebrating the new traditional year for all of you regular people. But I still love this idea of starting the year in DEBcember, because this way we've got this beautiful overlap between what did we accomplish, and we've got a couple weeks left to fill that in, but also to give next year a running start. And I'll also say that I'm recognizable. I am Deb, but my business is unrecognizable from the year before, because what I took is the Deb secret menu is Deb was the book proposal expert. Now Deb is, if you go to the bookproposalexpert.com, that is my new website. I've got the new proposal. So, see, you can tell I haven't seen Annie in a year. She does not know these things. I've got the Substack, bookproposals.substack.com, and the Book Proposal Podcast. So what had happened with a year ago, I was launching 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, and talk about, this book of joy launched in January, 2 weeks after the fires in LA and everything else going on in the world. And one might say that this is why when the world needs this kind of book, but very much like the pandemic, a lot of people were like, let's wait it out. Maybe things will get better on its own. So even though I did do a lot of speaking with the Goal Book, I just kept getting more and more book proposal clients, to the point where it's like, okay, this identity, and I think you all can relate to this. When one of your identity kind of surges forward, you kind of got to let it, because when that happens, it's amazing what that kind of energy does for your business. And I feel like, Chris, you're probably a different kind of really good example of this, because I believe it was on this show last year that you did your reveal that Gatherly was sold and you're going into this new kind of
That's
world.
Right.
And
it was.
And so how was that from you, from going from one identity to this new one, which you clearly love? And I will also admit, I'm pretty sure Chris is still working here, but I haven't seen him in a year. I'll check right before we go on air.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it was a change of identity, and frankly, it was really hard. I had pinned a lot of my, I hope not to say self-worth, but self-reflection, what you see in the mirror, as being a founder, right? And around this time last year was when I stopped consulting for the acquiring company. And that was like, I was like in the phase of like passing it all off. And that was weird too, right? Because even though I was like, I don't know, I still was a founder, but I wasn't necessarily like in charge. That was one shift from going from, CEO to employee of the same business. And then a completely other shift, just taking my hands off of it entirely and not being involved with the product, right? Like not being involved with the sales, not being involved with the strategy. Completely different shift. I was joking with an investor that my showers like got a lot more boring because I'm not thinking about the business anymore, right? I'm like, oh, this like shampoo bottle is like, I never read the back of it. Wow, but so yeah, my headspace cleared a little bit, but like I was saying, frankly, it was a little bit of a shift. There was a time where I had to think about who am I, right? Like what do I want to brand myself as? I know all three of you are branding experts of different kinds and somewhat the same too, right? So I think that shift going from, hey, like I still am a founder to, hey, I also do other things, right? Like I'm not necessarily just a video chat guy anymore. Now I can say, oh yeah, I've been a founder, but I also am very like data oriented now. I have like I've increased my analytical chops. I think it's less about changing identity now. And now I think of it more as adding to it.
Yeah, I feel like yes and is a phrase, which is the improv phrase. You're always adding to a scene. I find that like really consistently big thing. And at least for me, it used to, and I'm still introducing the show the same. I need to figure out how to do that better. But instead of saying, I am the creator of the Deb method for goal setting simplified, and also I do book proposals. I'm Debra Eckerling. I am the book proposal expert and author of books on goals. And it's a subtle shift, but when you let the thing that's like flowing freely, when you let it loose, that dog's going to play in the park and catch as many Frisbees as it can get its mouth on. That was a really weird analogy, but you all get it. Okay, Keith is smiling. Now, Keith, I know that for you, your tenets really are the same because you're part of my beginning of the year, middle of the year. We've had conversations in the past year, and you are really all about, getting rid of the noise. But what has changed for you? I mean, we know you're consistent, but you've also had
it's not the consistent. I think the goals are the same, but narrowing the focus and catching up with what Chris was saying. It's an identity question, right? I was Keith Spiro photography. I was Keith Spiro media. I was Keith Spiro the marketing. And, when Annie and I last talked about this, we decided I'd just be Keith Spiro. Same person, but I've kept the other URLs, but all of them flow into just keithspiro.com now. And that was an uncomfortable moment because what does the internet think? It's Keith Spiro doing what? And so the consistency is Chris's, it's not searching for the components or who you are, because you are who you are, but it's where you spend your time and it's what feels good about getting things done. And the fact that you're math at an art museum is just perfect. This is why we always get together annually, because I'm involved in the arts. I've doubled down on it. That's one of the directions I've taken with all the noise out there, with all the crazy stuff going on, and AI flying all over, which is fine, but how do you discern truth? Art is the best filter out there because it goes direct without prejudice. You see it, you like it, you don't like it, you hear it, you react emotionally, whether it's performing art, visual art. And so I have talked about art as being the authoritative voice. And in doing so, all of the things that Debra has seen over the 3 quarters that we've met over the year come together. And I love DEBcember because I transition, the traditional corporate me says you finish the year December 31st, you need to go out with a roar. Today's world, you wake up in the morning and have no idea what you'll be doing by 12 o'clock noon. So flexibility is a new term, and being able to pivot constantly to adjust to the speed of change. And so I've got the month of December to close 1 year out. And by the time we meet on January 5th, the goal, the 3 words, whatever it is to guide through the noise will be in place. So none of that's changed. And I think that's how I got in your book over the word alignment.
Yes.
Get rid of the
your
peripheral stuff.
secret is alignment is everything. And it is. It absolutely is. So Annie, what about you? What has been in you of the person who has more hyphenates than I do? You're on the identity that I met you through.
Well, what's fun that I see is, yes, to what Chris is talking about, it's expansive. And I remember when I was like, Keith, baby, super branding. If Beyonce wants to do a country album, it's a country album by Beyonce. But, with me, what I notice is there's kind of this double helix happening of things returning to their core. And at the end of the day, what I fight against, what I lean into, depending, is that I'm an educator. What I like to do more than any other thing, what I like to do more than writing for other people, what I like to do more than anything else is I like to help ideas get into the ear bones of humans, right? And whether that's my own content that I'm teaching or whether that's interviewing someone and helping their voice find a new angle, it always comes back to education. And with me, it always comes back to entrepreneurship, or as I really lean into it more and more, self-employment, right? And so like Corkworks Consulting, what's under the core? Entrepreneurial education. Non-Sleazy Sales Academy, what's under the core? Non-Sleazy Sales Academy education, right? Like Anniepreneur Presents and those shows. What is that? That is my version of entrepreneurial education. When I go in and foster in prisons, I'm teaching entrepreneurial education. The only thing in my life that doesn't have anything to do with entrepreneurial education is musical theater, which is what my degree is in, which I did promise myself I would double down on this year and did. And it kind of became my sort of mental health and salvation, right? Oh, thank you.
Where are the gold stars?
Gold stars, gold stars. But, it's, for me, it's just always kind of funny that, like, as I'm returning to core, the market is also readjusting its needs. And every now and then, not freaking often enough, according to me, but every now and then, what I'm feeling called to do and what the market is demanding sync up. And I'm like, oh, hey, Non-Sleazy Sales Academy. You've been on the shelf all 25. You coming back for 26? Here we go, baby. And great, because it's still mine. It's still me. I got to brush up my skills, but I would have to do that anyway. You know what I mean? I'm not rusty. I'm just behind and ready to catch back up and lead again in that vein. But 2 months ago, didn't expect to show up and be like, hey, I'm the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy. I expected to say I'm one of any of my other things, or the Keith Spiro angle. Hey, I'm Annie P. Ruggles. And that's it, baby.
Or as I said, you are the Anniepreneur. And that actually does factor in your musical theater stuff as well.
Yeah, it does. It does. Which is true. And then also, like, I think this year more than other years, I've been so impacted by being a human being living a life that had nothing to do with my job, and like being a citizen of a world and being in a human body and dealing with, births and deaths and all these other things, that it really changed a lot of my self-perception and identity. To like what Chris was talking about, my identity shifted, and how I saw myself in these different roles, or the emphasis I put on different roles in this moment, changes. But I think Keith said the word, or maybe you said the word, Deb, about flexibility. And I think that's, if I did not bend,
yes, we'll give Keith credit.
If I didn't bend this year, I not only would have broken, I would have shattered. And so I think that's just really what's coming up for me as we get into this DEBcember, because normally at DEBcember, I'm like, okay, it's the last month. We can finish strong. We got a whole nother month. Let's do it. And this year, unknown to me until literally we sat down and I turned my microphone on, if 2025 ended last night, good riddance and good luck. I'm in 2026 right now. DEBcember 1st, baby. New year already. I don't want to finish strong. I finished how I finished. but I finished, and I'm ready for what's next.
Well,
I got something to say.
Do you? Do you? I'm shocked.
I do.
This is
this
my
is
shock
how this
face.
group works. So you all helped launch me in that rocket ship last year, the change and the things were going. And Annie talks about catching up. You ever see the first rocket when it's not planned? It goes this way, it comes back that way, and you're chasing your tail very quickly. You don't have to catch up. You travel at Annie's speed, and the Anniepreneur, you're actually now ahead of the curve because all the things that didn't work in the 12 months of excitement of AI version 5, pick any one of the platforms and the LLMs that are out there, whatever even that means. It's changing. And it's changing so fast, it still comes back to who are you? What do you do? Who do you want to help? How do you help yourself, preserve yourself while you do that? And that maturity and experience of the long list of hyphenates becomes very valuable because you've got another year of experience and you're standing still. You're still standing. Nobody stands still.
Annie, I really appreciate what you said there, and especially the piece about being human. And there, so this Halloween, my girlfriend and I watched Muppets Haunted Mansion, and I'm going somewhere with this. I promise, Deb. So
if you're great, if you're not.
I'm just here to promote Muppets Haunted Mansion. Great, it has no business being that good. I was not a believer until I saw it. That's it. No, fantastic movie. But there's this line where Kermit is talking to the great Gonzo. Gonzo is this stunt man who's all about these like huge feats, right? And this year's feat is being in this haunted mansion that no one has stayed in overnight, blah blah blah. And what I remember was that there's this line where Kermit is talking to Gonzo, and Gonzo is like fretting about how he's not going to be able to do it. How is he going to be the great Gonzo if he can't do it? And there's this line that my girlfriend and I have been repeating to each other quite a bit. And Kermit looks at Gonzo and says, Gonzo, you don't have to be the great Gonzo to be great Gonzo. And I just keep that line just keeps coming. I know, right, Annie? Like that was exactly my reaction. I had to like rewind and play that again. I was like, wow. That's such a great line. There really is, like all of us here are very impressive in our careers. We know so many people who are impressive in our careers and their careers. Fantastic, right? But that's going back to that identity. That's not necessarily where the identity roots from. It's just the hyphen or the and on top of it, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, having nothing to do with anything. I interviewed Monty Pickle, who is a puppet. Created, who's got a YouTube series on Taste Buds, which will be up in a couple weeks. So I am very pro puppet. Just saying.
Seamless segue. I love that.
Well, normally I would say, what have been your biggest challenges last year? But I think, can we just admit? Can we just admit that last year was ridiculously
was the biggest
challenging?
Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my good. Well, and Annie mentioned this in the pre-show. We've had the gift of grief for the big part of the year. Yes, Mom, I know I talk about you too much. Give me just a second.
Excuse me, I get to talk about Eileen. Thank
Arlene?
Yeah, Arlene,
What?
not Eileen. Arlene. I get to talk about Arlene.
Okay, you want to say?
I'm just saying. About her? You're saying you talk about her too much. I'm saying you get to take up my portion because I'm giving you my time.
Oh no, that wasn't it. My point being, last year at this time, I mean, she was gone only 2 months, and to talk about identity, orphan, right? Even as a grown up, it's not fun. And there was some time, and it was the end of the summer, where one day I'm like, okay, I have to get out and be with more people again. And that I think really fueled my trajectory toward the end of the year. And it's not like Mom's not in my head all the time, because if you know Arlene, she's in your head forever. But it's almost like, okay, the timing is now. Go be Deb. And, I don't know how to make that little segment like flourishy or non-messy, but, to talk about this is also the year where I won Best Podcaster for LA Brass Club. My agent sold a book I'm co-writing in less than a month, which will be out next fall. And I built this wonderful adjunct, which is now the primary, thebookproposalexpert.com. By the way, Annie, the testimonial you wrote for me when I helped you with your book, that is on the website.
I'm sorry, this book that Deb basically birthed, this book, yes.
Yes. You are the first testimonial that I put
in. As well I should be, because you crushed it. That. You crushed.
The point being, we all have sucky, we all have good. Mm-hmm. Life's messy. If you're lucky, you get both. Okay, now it is quiet. Annie, what about, we're going to breeze over the challenge because it needs to be addressed. And then we're going to talk about wins. So just the challenges, and then we're going to circle back around for the good things. Go.
Patience in the pauses has been my toughest. So grief slowed me down. The economy slowed me down. Needing to be out in the streets in Chicago slowed me down. Lots of things slowed me down that needed to slow me down, and I needed to slow down. And I gave myself permission to slow down, but I did not act graceful toward myself once I did. And my friend Gabs Hayes always says that the quality of your rest or the caliber of your rest determines the quality of your performance. And I'm still not very good at resting after doing a whole lot of it this year, having it be kind of forced resting. Finding patience in the pauses and keeping my mood and my drive stable while I'm needed to be humaning, I guess.
Okay. It's very difficult, especially when, as both of the guys pointed out, you can plan for nothing because everything changes so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, what was your biggest challenge last year?
I've been very fortunate in 2025 not to have anything that jumps out at me immediately, which is, I think, a sign of a very blessed year. But you know, I'll adapt. I won't steal. Patience in the pauses. You know, I think one of the things that I had outlined last year was I really wanted to take this time post exit to figure out what my life outside of corporate was. And surprise, it's not as easy as, you know, corporate. Neither is corporate as easy as life, right? Like it's so funny. There are different skill sets, different people, right? Different challenges completely. And Annie, similar to what you were saying, but slightly different, I think for a while I was a little bit frustrated that I wasn't seeing startup scale pace in my personal life. And I was like, what do you mean, like, not everything is exponential growth? Like, that's crazy. I remember going from $0 to $1 million in sales. Like, you know, we just threw VC money at the problem. Like, where's the institutional capital for like working out? Like, this is crazy, you know? So, you know, I like what you said about patience in the pauses. Maybe I should say like patience in the patience, really. So perhaps that's what I would point to as one of my big challenges, right? Learning that not every challenge is equal, and adapting and being okay that things take time. You know, a huge river isn't carved out by a single stream. To what Keith was talking about.
Okay, we will take that. And I would also feel like, although you were definitely up for the challenge, that you figured out life outside of corporate pretty easily. You know, it's probably kind of nice not to constantly be worried about the business.
I wake up every morning so thankful that I know the museum's going to open whether I take a day off or not. I didn't have that luxury, and that's not bragging. That's poor management in the past. But that's past Chris, thankfully.
Okay. And Keith, what about you? What was your biggest challenge of this year?
So it's actually in the world of identity. How will people find me? Who will know how to find me? Will they find me for the right reasons? I'm now 10 years out of corporate on my own. And this past year, part of the big change was to drop the identifiable titles. He's a photographer. We hire him for that. Well, no, he really isn't. He's a marketing guy. We'll hire him for communications because he's a media guy. And it isn't as much figuring out the identity as figuring out how the messaging goes so that the right people find me at the right time when it's exactly right for them. And that's the flexibility of letting go and letting the universe figure it out for you. If you trust the internet, if you trust communications, those things do come back full circle. So it's not just figuring the identity. I know who I am. Does anybody else know?
Yes, because if they don't know,
they may not call.
They may not call.
They probably won't if they don't know.
I have not spent a single day unemployed this year.
Okay, then. Figuring out the messaging for the new identity. That's good. We accept that as a reasonable answer. And you all, you're here. So obviously you did something right in facing these challenges. Okay. Now on to happier things. I want to know what is your big win that you were celebrating for DEBcember? And is there one more win you want to sneak in before January 1st? So Keith, let's start with you. What is your big DEBcember 2025 win? And do you have one for the end of the month?
The big win for December is that I have finished the transition electronically. Search for me now and you'll find me as me. All roads lead to Keith Spiro, a business strategist, as opposed to looking for a photography guy. So all of those things at the upper end of the funnel all filter down to what Annie gave me when she did the ChatGPT test a long time ago. And it comes out that I'm a person worth calling in those areas. And it was kind of fun. The websites, all the redirects are done. All of the things, the broken links are out of there. So it's that's the big one. It really set up the positioning so that, like Chris, I can get up in the morning and not worry about what I'm going to do next. Corporate, when you're leading it or not leading it, there's always something you should have better be doing, or else you're in trouble. This is different.
That is so true.
Okay, so Keith, is there one more win you want to accomplish by the end of the year? Or you're good.
I'm glad you asked. This little envelope arrived in the mail today. So timing is everything. And I am going to officially announce the launch of my newest book, which is live today.
Yay! And will you read it for those of you who cannot read, who are listening or can't read words backwards, which is how it showed up.
Right. Shouldn't be backwards. Oh well. It is. Anyway, this is the Maine's First Ship inaugural maritime concert. And it is a project that fits on what I have been doing. So basically a group of musicians involved with maritime affairs, ships, songs of the sea, got together to hold a very intimate folk club style concert. But it was more than a concert because it was interactive. I hesitate to use the word concert. It's much more like the old folk easy days. And it's in part a fundraiser for the project that started more than 12 months ago. So it's part of that series. There's magic around this particular ship. It's a historical piece. And here, a year after that successfully raised funds, I've got this booklet that's come out. And the performances were, if you know sea shanties and music around the sea, then you know the name Gordon Bach. And Gordon Bach is known up and down the coast. He's also the sailor shipbuilder who sailed Clearwater down to the Hudson River, where it was taken over by another wonderful musician by the name of Pete Seeger. So they all tie, this is that small world that ties together. And I got to be a part of it because he's friends with people who were working in the same volunteer world and the communications that I'm responsible for. And I said, wow, pictures, story, book. let's get that out there because it's about a bigger audience. So my hope was that in this month between the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026, I would have a product, a finished product that could be shown, visited with, and sold. And so that's the proof version that you saw. It is online. I can send a link to you to put up later on. But it all just went live about 2 hours ago.
Yay!
That's my hope. It's the start.
Perfect DEBcember timing. Yes, send me the link. And if you go to thedebmethod.com/plug, you will get the recap and the links that are mentioned. Okay, so Chris, what big win are you celebrating? Even though I feel like you've been like leaking this the entire time.
Wait, what are you referring to? Because I don't think I've leaked all my big win of this year.
Well, you were talking about your successful transition into someone who does not worry about work at the end of the day because you're working and you get to play with math and art. But if that's not your big win, please tell us.
It's the hair. It's the hair.
It's the hair. It's the hair. much to the chagrin of my mom. But no, thankfully it's not the hair either. I didn't have to put in as much work for that one. This year I got to officiate a wedding, which I think is my big win. It was really a blessing, an honor to be asked. It's so much fun. It was my childhood best friend. I've known her since we were like in 7th grade. She's seen me in like braces and like the awkward jacket I would wear to school every day. So it was a little bit surreal to actually be standing up there with her and doing that experience. But like I had been to a couple of weddings, but never as the officiant before. So that was really an incredible experience. Everything from, flying out to SF to visit them in advance to, collect all the stories, all the ones that they wanted to be told, more importantly, the ones they didn't want to be told. Like what should I not say when I'm standing up there at the altar? Those stories. So that planning, writing, and memorizing the speech. My poor girlfriend had to hear me say the speech probably 97 times to her and mess up at the same paragraph every single time. So thank you to her for listening. To actually, my mom flew to New York and helped me pick out an outfit. And then being in the wedding was in Costa Rica. Her partner is from there. That was a gorgeous time. I know, right? A gorgeous time leading up to it. And then the actual day of, and then, the day after was sort of like when, like a football game is over and all the stadium lights turn out and you're like, wow, like I've been thinking about this for the last year, right? Like it all of a sudden became this benchmark date in my brain of like, oh yeah, like early August, that's when the thing is, right? And then after all of a sudden August passed, this like benchmark date sort of disappeared all of a sudden, and it was a little quiet for me. But that would be my big win because it pulled in a lot of different skills. I met so many different people, and I think that's really an accomplishment that's not corporate, not startup, that I can like treasure for a long time and forever, really. Again,
I mentioned something that probably occurred to you that if you were still a startup founder, you probably would not have had the time or the ability to do this.
I think you're so right. I don't think I could have taken off a week. I don't think I would have been able to spend as much time as I did writing.
You could, but you wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're listening, Abby, I totally would have. There would have been no questions asked. But to you guys,
done your best, but your best would not be as focused. You know what I mean?
I like that, Annie.
You have such better conditions to have pulled it off now that your best is in a different category of best.
I think you're so right. My rest allowed me to perform at a different level than compared to the rest I was getting maybe 2 years ago.
And you were 100% there for what you wanted to be there for. That's huge.
I really was present. I wasn't thinking about work a single time. Whereas, right. Even at my own like college graduation, I was answering customer success emails, which I probably didn't have to do. But in my head, like I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't reply to this account right now, I'm going to lose them. Like, if I'm doing that at my own college graduation, like, yeah, I can be a lot more present, thankfully, because I was out of that situation, right? Oh man, I talk about it as if it was
like you're like officiating a wedding and you're like, dearly beloved. Hold on one second. Oh, hold on. Okay, I gotta go back. Okay, wait. What? And you start talking to your wrist. Like, I can't really talk to you right now. Like, that would be insane.
I'm sure that the couple would have loved that.
Oh yeah.
Well, they know you. They probably would have gotten it, but much better that you didn't have to.
Exactly.
Do you have a win that you want to be celebrating by the end of the actual year?
I do, and it's actually a slightly adjusted goal from DEBcember last time. It occurred to me maybe like 3 or 4 months ago that I wasn't doing a very good job of my homework. That I think you gifted me a goal, Deb, last year of spending more time writing. And the feedback and advice you gave me was, you were like, look, you've had this wealth of experiences, not necessarily unique, but not common. Might as well spend some time writing that down, not only for your reflection, but maybe we can put a book together one day, right? So, a couple of months ago, I was like, oh, shoot, I gotta catch up on that. So I have been writing pretty consistently, not necessarily all about the startup experience, but things ranging from, and not excluding the startup experience, but I had a pretty high profile jury duty case that I was sitting on this time last year, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, that was a weird experience for me post consulting. So I wrote a little bit about that. I've been writing about my experience at the MoMA. And then, just other experiences. And one I should write about is probably officiating that wedding. So maybe I think that's going to be what my DEBcember goal is to keep that consistency going and finish out the year strong by continuing to write at least once or twice a week.
Okay. And I'm giving you a bonus goal is
Fantastic.
If you go to coffeewithdeb.com, you can set up 20 minutes with me. So your other goal is to set up 20 minutes with me so I can start getting you in book proposal brain mode.
I love it.
Okay, excellent. Annie,
Hi.
win. You survived. Woohoo! Beyond that, what is your biggest win of the year?
I did my first musicals in 11 years.
Yay. Which was?
So my first return was Gypsy, and then at the same playhouse a couple months later, I just closed Once Upon a Mattress. So I did 2 shows this year, which felt really lovely because I think this is when you're living as your brand and your brand is what you're living as, it's still nice to have parts of it that are kind of squirreled away from work and don't have to be like, I don't have to be Anniepreneur in that. I can be, but if I want to not put my podcast in my bio, it's a totally different bio. Write your bio for theater is like, what shows have you done and who do you want to thank? Right. And so having a different bio this year was a lot. And in some really lovely ways and some very jarring ways when it comes to identity, kind of getting the clarity and the gift of performance and giving myself that space and that time, because I've been living under this myth since I really began my self-employment journey back in like 2008-9 that I could not sustain a business and perform simultaneously. And rather than judge the actual truth of that, I just assumed that it was true until this year. I knew I needed to take a break, and then they were doing one of my favorite shows, and I was like, well, okay, here we go. And so I think that's my big win of the year. I've been personally tested a lot this year, and I'm proud of how I am doing my best. That's my recalibration, is I have to keep reminding that, like, just like we've all talked about already, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And the only barometer I have to compare myself to is what I need to do today and where I want to be tomorrow. And the rest of it is the past or the distant future. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's just lovely,
That's awesome. But I'm still going to need a win for you by the end of the year.
Okay. So I was saying, so I had those 2 wins. I did 2 shows. Thank you. 2 leads and 1 year hair toss. But
toss. Yes.
I would toss. I would love.
Thank you, Chris.
I would love and I welcome some kind of business win by the end of the year. And I don't think I have to force it. I think that it's coming. Because in the last few weeks, I've gotten more leads inbound than in the last 6 months. And there's so many reasons why that could be. That could be economic changes, positive or negative. That could be Mercury in the microwave. That could be an SEO campaign I did a year and a half ago. Who knows what the butterfly effect is that is bringing this about? But I'm seeing a restored need for my services, which is lovely. And I'm so glad for it. And I've also been reminded that there is life outside the coaching industrial complex, which is a major win, and that people outside of it could benefit from what I have to give too. And so I expect a win to come. I expect to handle it fantastically, and I expect to come from outside of the personal development sector. I love you, personal development sector, but we're done.
I love that. And I also feel like anticipating a win brings the win. And Arlene's talking in my ear. If you're ever stuck, she says, clean the apartment, clean the house, and some good will happen. I had to have maintenance in my apartment over the weekend, so I had to clean my apartment. And then I got a call this afternoon from somebody I hadn't seen literally in years. We were on a Zoom together like sometime last month that a mutual friend that we didn't even know was a mutual friend invited us to. And today the phone rang and she's like, you know, as I mentioned, I do book proposals, but I don't like to. So we need to talk about how I could send clients to you and you could send clients to me. All because my toilet broke and I had to clean my apartment.
And because you didn't immediately turn around and go, oh, yes, what a synergistic alignment that we have.
Yes, toilet bowl alignment.
I told you,
So
you're just
sleazy.
in it, right? Like we were just talking about with Chris, you were in the moment. You were in your greatness. You know your lane. You know your focus, to Keith's point. Like, yes to all.
Yes, but I will tell you, I hung up the phone and I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know I need to clean the apartment more often because it was clearly a result of this. Who knew, right? Okay, I feel like that should be the bonus goal that I am sharing today is clean something.
Clean your apartment.
Yeah. But before we get there, how surprising we're talking over 45 minutes already, but we've got very important business. I need for you all to share what win. I want one personal, one professional that you want to be celebrating a year from now. And then I will let you all gift goals to the audience. So Annie, why don't we start with you? And again, it's your goal for 2026, but think about it as what win are you going to celebrate? What are you, right?
Considering your super branding, Deb, next DEBcember 1st, I want to be celebrating a complete book proposal. Kazam.
Okay, so I guess you need to schedule some time with me too.
You think? Okay, so that's my professional goal.
Okay.
My personal goal
Love that.
is that I've been putting off a really major preventative surgery in my life for like 20 years now. And in August of this year, I lost one of my best friends to triple negative breast cancer. And I realized that playing Russian roulette with my own health is unacceptable. So my personal goal will be that I will have completed my double mastectomy by DEBcember next year. In the honor of my dear friend Melina and in my own best freaking interest. And if I could gift a goal to people.
Oh, no, don't do that one yet.
Oh,
we're not there yet.
Okay, so just those two. Okay, so book proposal and booby removal surgery. Bet you didn't know I was going to say the word booby, did you, Deb?
You know, I didn't, but oh my goodness, what a way to honor your friend by doing that. And I mean, I don't love that you have to have it, but I love that that's what finally kicked you into gear to do it.
I'm lucky that I get to have it, though. I'm lucky that I get to have it. It's happening for me, not to me. And that is a really clear example of that I see there more than other spots. That surgery is happening for me, not happening to me. And that distinction is a privilege that not everybody has.
That's powerful.
Yep. Okay, Keith. Sorry to put you after that one, but
I need more time. I'm actually at a loss for words right now.
Okay, so Chris, what win?
What a hard one.
Yeah. If I didn't know, I wouldn't have put her first if I knew.
Annie, my personal goal is to play basketball again, because I played a lot of basketball in 2022 and 2023, and I didn't play very much in 2024. And I was just journaling about it on the flight home, or flight back to New York from the holidays. I was like, I gotta get back into basketball. I love putting a ball through a net. But that feels like such a small personal goal compared now. But hey, it's not the Goal Olympics. That's not what the Deb show is about. I've never heard that one before. So no, that's my personal goal, and I think it fits in with the theme that I've had this whole year about trying to return to things that brought me a lot of joy that I necessarily wasn't able to dedicate my time to, right? So, it's sort of a continuation goal from the personal angle. From the career angle, I think I'm still in the exploring my options phase, to use your language, Deb.
I knew you were doing that. Thank you.
I think the goal is a very nebulous, like, level up in my career, right? And I don't know if that means like, a promotion or like a new department or, a new startup, right? Like there's so many different angles that I can take that in, which is a huge blessing. I think, the choice is a lot of fun. What hyphen do I want to add next year is really the question that I'm posing myself. So perhaps the goal right now is by the end of DEBcember to at least have the options on the table so that I can go into the year knowing which one I'm running for. Okay,
you do have your goal guide, right?
I do.
Okay, so maybe your goal should be go through the exercises that will help you determine your mission so you can explore your options.
I think that's a fabulous goal.
I think that was my given goal from Deb last year. I think I got the read my book from Deb last year.
I believe you did.
Annual bequeathing of the read my book. I love it.
I think it's a handle around the squares.
Yeah, Keith, you might be next year, but I have a feeling you won't be.
Okay, I'm going to put in the chat, and this will also go in the recap of what everybody said they were going to do last year. And actually, let's take a quick peek. I'm going to give Keith another second.
No, I'm set.
Oh, well, now
don't you want me to?
Then you have to give me another second. So, Chris was work on the itinerary for the voyage of 2025, input into written form. Good. Annie was to discover and craft a joyful, beneficial, gratitude, grounding morning routine and be shamelessly stupid for profit. Mm-hmm. And performing. That was one of your goals last year.
Yay.
Okay. And Keith was gratitude and alignment and work in the arts, which you totally smashed. So now that you are all clear that you actually did your goals, now there's extra pressure into figuring out what they are. So Keith, what win are you going to be celebrating a year from now?
Well, from a professional standpoint, it's really working with the word discovery. It's not a platform. I don't want to create a program, but it is this, what we've heard for the whole hour, giving ourselves permission to discover something new, because if you plan everything based on the rules as they were, you're already behind the 8 ball. And so whether it's for myself or for clients, it's that ability to help others and myself be comfortable with that uncertainty about where the next thing comes from, however that person defines it. Our business has changed. I'm tired of what I'm doing. I'm looking for a career. It's that hard transition that the discovery is this willingness and openness to do so. And on a personal level, it's a train trip. I would love to get out there. I want to go out again on a long distance train trip. I met so many interesting people. You talk about the opportunity. if you sit long enough in the same place, then the people you have meals with as the world goes past you. Unlike a plane where you're in a bubble all by yourself, trains have dining cars. You can make a formal appointment for a dinner. There's a wide range of travel. And it's been a while, and that would be my personal goal, to be able to come back and tell you which massive major route or where I ended up, because you can also buy a pass and just travel for a period of time and see where it takes me.
I love that for you. Are you going to make
Thank
it
you.
out to Los Angeles on this train trip?
I like to do coast to coast. There's a couple of thousand miles in
believe
between.
it or not, I mean, we've been friends since 2020.
And we
have never met in person. Actually, I've never met any of you all. And I say in my book, maybe a quarter of the people who I interviewed for 52 Secrets are people that I met at one time in real life. So I love that goal, especially because it'll bring you to LA. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, this has been like really like mind-blowingly intense conversation about life, the world, the future. What goal do you want to gift? And can I start with you, Keith, this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Easy.
Oh,
it was written down before I got here, and somebody in this conversation actually used it, but not as a goal gift. And the gift that I wrote down is, when you go leave this, conversation, whether you were listening to it or watching it, to do something different, to do some change, the gift that I offer is to use, instead of the word but, it's yes, comma, and. It's that building piece. And if you do just that as the goal for yourself, that as soon as you hear that but coming out, you stop yourself and you convert whatever it is you were talking about, you move it to the next level by saying and. So yes, and.
Okay, so can you give an example? I love it.
Yes. I mean, this is a long hour. And yes. Now, yes, it's a long hour. It's a lot to do. You've asked a lot. And this is where the word would have been a lot of things you've asked for. And I am going to grab that first piece of reading over what the Deb mission is, so that I know my plan, right?
So it's add to.
It's additive.
Add to the things you are doing by
what was
using
the phrase? Whoever had said it earlier. Yes, and was improv. It allows you to attach and tie it to the next thing.
Whereas no is definitive, right? If we're doing a scene back and forth and I'm like, oh my gosh, isn't it so weird that we're suddenly on Mars? And you come on and go, Annie, what the heck? We're not on Mars. Scene's over. Right? But if you come on and you're like, oh, the gravity is weird, then you're yes-anding, right? Like it gives it somewhere to go.
You're turning a negative, which would be a but, into a positive, saying, okay, let's do this.
And in the business world, you can talk about whatever you want, and when you say, but everything that came prior to that word is now negated. It's done. Toast, the same way the improv disappears. So yes, and is the gift. Think additive.
Love it. Okay, Chris, what goal are you gifting?
The goal that I'm gifting this time is to be curious and try, or actually more specifically, be bad at something. I think one of the gifts that I've been given this year is that I've had the opportunity to be bad at quite a few things. And, don't judge me too much here, Deb, but one of the things that I'm pretty bad at is cooking. And I've been allowing myself to be bad at cooking. And surprisingly, if you be bad at cooking enough times, you start to be a little less bad, and then all of a sudden you're okay. So, I think there's a lot of pressure these days on the final product being perfect, right? And it sort of creates this, at least for me and some of my friends in conversation, creates a barrier to starting to do something, right? Like, we all want to be our best selves. We all want to put the best product on stage in front of the cameras. But I think we can give ourselves some more grace in those backstage, green room moments, right? Allow yourself to be bad. And like I said, if you be bad enough times, you might start to get okay at it. And that's the first step to being good at it, right?
I love this. And you're gonna love this story. So Jerry Silverman was on the show a few weeks ago when we were talking about storytelling. And it was one of those things where I had a cancellation and I reached out, and I had just met her and said, you would be perfect. And she said, I'm so busy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it as a moment. A couple of days later, she called me and says, I have a spot on one of my gorgeous stories on Zoom shows. Do you want to do it? And how could I say no when she just said yes to me? And I had not done anything performative like this since my TEDx, which many people know. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but I'm way better off the cuff than when I'm reading things. But I said yes, and right. And what I ended up doing is, so it was completely out of my comfort zone. And the piece I did, I called Embracing the Ladle. And I talked about my transition from super shopper to reform non-cook. So I did your goal a couple weeks ago. You did it,
so on theme.
My goodness, it was a little over a week ago. I did the goal. So there you go. But yes, and always do things that intrigue you, when saying yes is a way better answer than no. Annie, goal?
I'm going to gift the goal that I am currently working the hardest on myself, so that if you take me up on this gift, you'll know that I'm in the trenches with you, which is practicing self-forgiveness, which grief has brought up a lot, change has brought up a lot, my business being down year over year has brought up a lot, and it's a process. And sometimes some days are easier than others, some occasions are easier than others, but I know that as a business of one, if I'm beating myself up at every step, it's gonna take a lot longer for me to get where I want to be. Whereas if I can again honor the fact that I was always doing my best in the moment, what I was given and what I had and what I could create and what I could produce, then I have a better opportunity and a better likelihood of stepping more wisely in the future. So self-forgiveness, because time is limited and I don't want to spend what I have beating myself up, and I don't want that for you either.
There are so many things out of your control. I mean, and when I was on my goal happy high over the summer, when I thought people were going to be really okay in the goal mode, and then it was summer and that kind of floated away. But this is what I say, which is you control over very little, but you do have control over yourself, your goals, and your projects. And we were talking about the Giggle Project last year at this time as well. What is one thing that you know that you can do that's going to make you smile, bring you joy, whatever you're doing, it's going to give you that bit of energy. But I think the gift of self-care is like the most understated, underutilized thing, which when you're in grief, you get this because you have no choice but to take care of yourself. Yeah. That is the only thing you have control over. Is if you want to watch 3 hours of TV a night so your head doesn't go there, then that's what you do. Mm-hmm. But I think self-care and self-forgiveness kind of go hand in hand, because when you are doing self-care, you understand the value of being good to yourself to get through what it is you need to get through. And also, sometimes you just don't feel like doing stuff, and that's okay too.
Patience in the pauses, people. Patience in the pauses.
I love it. I love it. I'm so appreciative of you all in this wonderful conversation. Where can people learn more about each of you? And again, if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, I'll try and recap this, and then everybody's links. So, Chris, where's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn. You can just search up Chris Cherian, Cherian, or you can hit me up at my email, chrischerian@gmail.com.
Awesome. And Annie?
AnniePRuggles.com, internet home of all the things, or LinkedIn, baby, Annie P. Ruggles. If you type in Annie Ruggles, you either get me or some college lacrosse player, so you'll know she's not me.
And what about you, Keith?
Oh, LinkedIn is also always a good place to communicate and learn a little bit about me. But if you can spell my name, you can find me. I'm just KeithSpiro.com.
Yes, because that is that identity. And as I said before, I am still at the Deb Method everywhere. And you can learn more about what I do to help people embrace their gifts and write a book proposal that sells at thebookproposalexpert.com. And again, if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you will get the recap and the replay to all these wonderful conversations. And also let us know about your wins and your goals so we can celebrate you as well. Okay, friends, final thought time. Keith, final thought?
Say yes, discover, curiosity, and the creativity will follow.
Discover, wait. Well, it's discovery, curiosity, and creativity.
It's the same, curiosity, but the final thought is curiosity. If you're curious about things, you will be successful.
That's true, because if you're not, you're just not. Wait, that sounded really strange. Okay, if you are curious about things, you'll be successful because that drives you forward, right?
Sure. Yes.
Yes, Deb. Yes, and Deb.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, final thought.
I'm going to lean on what we were talking about at the beginning, where your identity doesn't have to be what you work on or your hobbies. It can just be who you are, and you can add a bunch of hyphens to it. You can yes and your own identity.
You can yes and your own identity. I love that. Okay, and Annie, final thought to you, my friend.
And when in doubt, punch a fascist.
Okay,
mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever that means to you, not to incite violence if violence is not your thing. But if at the end of the day, you're getting stuck in your own thing, remember that there are people outside in the world that are having a tougher time than you, and that there are things that you can do right now to make life better for your neighbors. Which to me is going out and verbally punching fascists.
Okay, so sticking with the Deb optimism, let's go with, if you get stuck, remember there are people having worse time than you. Help them. Actively help them. Okay, I like it. If I knew we were punching people out, I might have final thought at someone else. That's okay. I mean, but this is the I whole
said whatever it means to you. It means raise your voice, make your presence known, make a change. Don't just think about it. Don't just do the smallest action. Make a bigger, bolder action.
Okay.
And preface that with actively helping someone else will lift you, change, give you results. Mm-hmm. All that Annie just said.
Awesome. And, not to quote High School Musical, which I don't think I've ever seen.
You're about to quote High School Musical.
Well, we're all in this together. Isn't that song from High School Musical? If you're listening, you're really
Incredible.
Missing out on like the best facial expressions. So you can... I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can subscribe to At the Deb Method on YouTube, and also GoalChat, the book proposal podcast, and Taste Buds with Deb on your favorite podcast platform. But then also go to the debmethod.com/blog and watch the show, because like I said, facial expressions, totally worth it. But that I think is the point. And I think that is also why it's such a joy to be able to reconnect with all of you, even if it's once a year, even though I think our goal is to see each other more than once a year, bonus goal for this particular panel. But go be you, do the things, be as you as humanly possible, and be kind while you're doing it. And that makes everybody's life a little bit or maybe in some cases, a lot better. Thank you all again for tuning in. A happy DEBcember. Let's make this last month awesome. And let's blow into 2026 with all the positive vibes and the power that we have to live our best life. Thank you again, Annie, Chris, Keith, for joining me. And thank you. Go live your goals, because we know you can do it.